Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Still feeling under the weather, but I'm still here for you. Just wanted to throw out to you, there may be some things that you're missing that are keeping you from the 100% permanent in total. The first thing is mindset. I'm going to jump into that first here, and then we'll dive further into it. The mindset for 100% permanent in total needs to have a clear understanding of what's available from the VA and what sort of things are even service connectable. And to just make it as fast as possible, anything that's diagnosable, right, is pretty much going to become something that can be service connectable if it's chronic in nature or has some sort of residual effects. That's a lot of conditions. There's a lot of things that you can get service connected that you might not be aware of. With that knowledge, it's also important to understand that 100% is not the maximum pay schedule for a disabled veteran. The maximums are on the special monthly compensation rating schedule, and that is the schedule where you can get a much higher monthly compensation for your disabilities, primarily injuries. Now, it's important to understand that because 100% is not really 100%, meaning the maximum, okay? It's also important to understand that there are some what they call very high value claims that you might have high ratings for, and when you couple them together with the VA funny math, it takes you to where you need to be, such as 50% for migraines, 60% for GERD, 50, 70% for mental health, sleep apnea currently with a CPAP until a rule goes into effect, but currently is 50%. So you can see how these conditions can add up drastically and get you to that mark. So I want to dive into this a little bit with you because I believe that it is an important subject. A lot of times we throw in a claim, we get our stuff done, and we move on and we don't go back and revisit. I think that that is a mistake. So let's jump into it. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. The two asks are really, look, hit the thumbs up and let the video run if you can, if you have the ability to do so. I really appreciate it. It really does tell YouTube to push it out to more of us. If I cough, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go back and figure out how to edit it out and then look like a robot for you. I'm just not that way. So let's jump into it. The first number one thing that you should do, and I'm telling you like if I was telling myself if I was less than 100% permanent in total. If I was less than 100% permanent in total, what would I do? Number one, first thing, I would, again, check my mindset so I understand that I'm not holding myself back thinking that I shouldn't qualify for 100%, right? So there's first that piece. The next thing is I would file an intent to file. That intent to file is a very simple form. It's very easy questions. You're going to check the box on there that says that it's for compensation. There's only two choices, pension or compensation. You're going to go with compensation. And that's going to get filed with the VA, and then it buys you 1 year's worth of time. You have that year to get all of your ducks in a row or what have you, so that way you can then get your claim put together, get it fully developed, and file that claim. And if you do it within 1 year, the VA will preserve the effective date the same as that intent to file date. So, quick example, you filed your claim, or you filed your intent to file, 10 months later you file your claim. It took the VA 10 months. Well, 10 months of intent to file time and 10 months of claim time is 20 months. When they award you, they're going to back pay you 20 months. So it's a big deal. It buys you time. It takes the pressure off. Intent to file, number one. And that form is the 21-0966 form. The next thing that you're going to want to do, and I suggest this even if you have them, your service treatment records. If you have your service treatment records, great. Do you have them all? Did you miss a page somewhere? Who knows? I don't know. It doesn't hurt. Order them again. SF 180, standard form 180. I think of 180 like it's a half of a circle, right? A 360 is a full spin. 180 is looking back. So 180, looking back in time to get your records, right? So SF 180, ordering your records. Order those. If you already have your service treatment records, order them anyway, but still start flipping through them. What you're looking for is not necessarily diagnosed conditions, because a lot of us don't go get diagnosed, but look for events of certain things, right? If you were in an automobile accident, if you had some sort of competition. So like when I was mortars, for example, 81 millimeter mortars in the Marine Corps, we would have competitions against the other mortar platoons throughout the nation, right? And these competitions were rigorous and they were taken seriously, and it was, you're hiking, whatever, it depends, right? Every year it's different. One year it was like a little 5 mile, ruck march with all your stuff loaded. Another one was like 20 something miles. So those types of things help to paint the picture for the conditions that you have today. So it's not necessarily, again, looking for, oh, you were diagnosed for this. Look for events that you can go, well, it's because of things like this that caused this. We trained up until we actually did that thing, and here it's all outlined and we won awards or whatever it was, right? So any time overseas, in theater, any of that stuff, especially when it comes to any sort of PTSD type stuff and burn pits and Agent Orange and all of that good stuff. Presumptives are great. You always want to go through the presumptives list and make sure that you're not missing one. Presumptives are a very good way to go. But back to your service treatment records, also look for complaints or mentions of any symptoms of a condition. So what I mean is there may have been an annual health assessment in which you checked the box that said heartburn. Well, you're not really going to get rated for heartburn, but heartburn is a symptom of GERD. So you might have GERD, and you mentioned it when you were in, which gives you a leg to stand on for your nexus. So you're looking for anything that you could tie back to your time in service here and create a nexus. The nexus is the link between your condition and your time in service, right? So that's number one, okay? Going through that, having that intent to file in place, having a look through all of your service treatment records to see if you missed anything that could have been service connected, number one. Then you're also going to want to look at anything that you currently have. Look at all of your current service-connected conditions. Write them all down, right? If you have a bunch of them. If you only have 3, then you probably know them, right? But you don't want to miss anything is the bottom line. Get all of your service-connected conditions, and what I would do is I would Google search secondary conditions due to X, whatever the service-connected condition is, because you might have it. And, something will pop up. It'll give you 4 or 5 different things or whatever that are, potential secondary conditions due to that service-connected condition. If you're taking medications, Google search that, right? Conditions often caused by whatever the medication is, right? And see if anything shows up as well. That would become a secondary. So you're going to look at, or I guess I've been talking about secondaries. So secondaries, looking for anything as secondaries is important. Looking for increases on anything is important. Now, here's the thing with increases. And I'll tell you that what happens is people will tend to get worried and stressed out about poking the bear, right? About, I know that I can file for this, but I'm scared that the VA is going to do this, right? Reduce me here, reduce me there. If you know that your conditions are not any better than before and you've been going to the doctor, you're going to be fine. I know for me personally, I think I filed 7 claims or so, and then I pushed 3 into higher level review type things or what have you, and then 1 to appeal with the board. And I wasn't worried about that at all because I knew my conditions. I'm the patient. I know how bad they are. So I know that even if they wanted to call me in to do some sort of a re-examination, I feel pretty good with it because I've been going to the doctor, I've been being seen, and my conditions are the same. So what you need to do is have that realization, right? Am I really as bad as I was then? Then cool. If you are, then you shouldn't be worried. But you have to think about that and answer that for yourself. The other thing is you need to look at the schedule of ratings for each one of your conditions, right? So again, that list of conditions, find those in the schedule of ratings. Now, there's two ways you can do it. You can actually go to the schedule of ratings on the VA's website and dig through the books and find it, or you can just Google search your condition, schedule of ratings for the VA, or some variation of that. And then a lot of times the attorneys will have that information on their website talking about that specific condition and what's needed for the specific ratings. So as you read through them, maybe you're rated at 10% for migraines, but you read the criteria and you go, well, wait a minute, I should be at 30. Well, then you should file for an increase, right? Or it could be the other way around, right? I'm at a 30, but I don't know if I quite meet the 30. So then that's something you need to be careful about, right? So I think that for most of us are not any better than when we first got service connected. We're either the same or gradually getting worse. So I think for most of us, we're going to see opportunities for increases, and we're going to see opportunities for secondary conditions. It's just a matter of taking the time to go through it and make sure that you can find them, articulate it, get the documentation together. Now, the difference between a service-connected condition, or an increase even, and a secondary condition is I'll explain it as quick as I can. So the three things for a service-connected condition are time in service, that creates that window of opportunity. 2 is you need to have a diagnosed condition that's chronic in nature or has a residual kind of ongoing effect. Okay. 3 is the nexus, the link between the condition and your time in service. In other words, show me that your condition manifested during your time in service or as a result of your time in service. Okay. When you shift over to an increase, they no longer need a nexus anymore because they've already conceded that it's service connected. So they don't need that. All they're looking for now is severity based on your schedule of ratings criteria. So they're trying to line up with the schedule of ratings where your severity falls so they can assign you the appropriate rating. Well, the good news is you have the access to the schedule of rating. So if you meet a higher threshold, then go have that conversation with your doctor and have your doctor put that same information, the signs, symptoms, durations, the criteria needed for that rating, have them put that in your medical records. That is very important because you will use that as evidence for your claim for an increase. The next one is secondary. Secondary conditions are kind of a little bit like a service connected in the way that so you don't really need the time and service piece because that condition is happening outside of your time and service. So as secondary, you're not saying I got this secondary condition during my time in service, because then it would be a service connected condition. So it's not. It's happening outside of your time in service. It showed up after the fact due to another condition or medications or whatever for a condition. So an example would be I got rated for my back. Then years down the road, my back got worse, and now I don't sleep very good, and now I have insomnia due to my back, right? Or I had a back issue, and years go by, and now I have arthritis building up in my back because I damaged it, right? So those would be secondary conditions due to the back condition. Now, to prove that secondary condition, here's the important part, okay? You need to have a diagnosis of that new condition, that secondary condition. And you need to have a different kind of nexus. You're not getting a nexus to connect it to your time in service. You need a nexus to prove that it's connected to that other condition. So in other words, the insomnia due to my back, I would need to work with my doctor and have them annotate that it is due to my back issues is why I am having problems sleeping, or it's due, or the arthritis is due to the back injury that I have. You need to tie it together and create that nexus, that link between the new service, a link between the secondary condition and the service connected condition in which it resulted from. You need to create that and make it easy for the VA to understand it. So with that, those are some of the things you might be missing. Take a look, see what you can do. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.